In the hidden corners of ancient texts, one name emerges like a shadow: Samael. Some call him the angel of death, others whisper of him as a prince of demons. He is feared as the accuser of humanity, yet paradoxically, he is also described as one of God's most powerful servants. So who is Samael? A loyal angel carrying out divine justice, or a dark rebel who delights in destruction? Unlike other figures in biblical and apocryphal writings, Samael cannot be pinned down so easily. He exists in the spaces between light and darkness, obedience and rebellion, heaven and hell. In some traditions, he is said to ride a serpent, entwining himself with the destiny of humanity from the very beginning. In others, he wields the sword that severs the fragile thread of life itself. His name is unsettling, even cryptic. Scholars translate Samael in different ways, some as venom of God, others as blindness of God. Both interpretations carry a chilling weight. Poison that kills, blindness that hides. A divine being who either destroys with authority or blinds with deception. But the truth is, Samael is not easily defined. He is both executioner and tempter, angel and demon, accuser and enforcer. And perhaps that's why he continues to fascinate theologians, mystics, and seekers of forbidden knowledge even today. Tonight, we descend into this mystery. We'll trace Samael's role across Jewish mysticism, apocryphal writings, Kabbalistic teachings, and even Gnostic thought. We'll uncover the contradictions that make him one of the most enigmatic figures in all of religious lore. And when the story is over, one question may remain: is Samael a servant of the divine, or the greatest adversary humanity has ever known? In Jewish lore, Samael's most chilling role is that of the angel of death. Unlike other angels, who guide or protect, Samael is feared as the one who arrives at the final hour. His very presence marks the end of a soul's earthly journey. The Talmud describes him as both majestic and terrifying. He does not appear as a grotesque demon, but as a radiant angel cloaked in authority, a reminder that death is not outside God's plan. It is woven into it. In this sense, Samael does not kill out of malice, but out of duty. He is the hand of God's decree, cutting life short when the appointed time comes. Yet, the tradition adds unsettling details. Samael is said to carry a poisoned sword, dripping with venom. The moment he strikes, the soul departs the body, and the person breathes their last. His venom is not just physical, but spiritual, drawing out the very essence of life. But here's where the paradox deepens. If Samael is simply an angel of death, why do so many texts describe him as cruel, even eager in his task? Some midrashim suggest he revels in humanity's downfall, almost gloating as he severs the fragile bond between flesh and soul. He isn't just performing a job, he takes satisfaction in it. This duality, obedience mixed with malice, creates a disturbing image. He is heaven's executioner, yet he carries the energy of a predator. Unlike Michael, who defends, or Raphael, who heals, Samael destroys. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect is this: Samael is not always portrayed as waiting passively for the appointed time. In some accounts, he actively seeks opportunities to accuse souls, hastening their judgment. He does not just deliver death, he argues that humanity deserves it. Thus, Samael as the angel of death is not just about endings. He becomes the living embodiment of judgment itself, standing at the border of life and eternity, sword in hand, poison dripping, gaze unyielding. When most people think of Eden, they imagine the serpent tempting Eve. But some mystical traditions make a startling claim: that serpent was none other than Samael. In Jewish mysticism and certain rabbinic commentaries, Samael is not just the angel of death, but also the deceiver who slithered into humanity's first story. He is described as riding upon the serpent, merging with it, and whispering the fatal words that led Eve to taste the forbidden fruit. This changes everything. If true, Samael is not only tied to death, but to the origin of sin itself. He is there at the moment humanity fell, the moment paradise was lost. His role goes far beyond execution. He becomes the great accuser, the one who sets humanity on a path of rebellion and suffering. The symbolism runs deep. The serpent, a creature both feared and revered, becomes the vessel of Samael's will. His poison, the same venom he wields as the angel of death, enters not through a sword this time, but through persuasion, through words that plant doubt and desire. But here lies another paradox. Did Samael act against God's will as a true adversary? Or was his temptation part of the divine plan, the necessary step in humanity's story of free will? Some traditions suggest that Samael was merely fulfilling his role as tester and accuser, provoking humans to make choices, knowing full well those choices would lead to suffering. If Samael is indeed the serpent of Eden, then his legacy is entwined with every act of human rebellion. Every time we choose pride, greed, or desire over obedience, we echo that first temptation. Samael becomes not only the angel of death, but the angel of the fall, the one who ensured that mortality and sin entered the world hand in hand. And so, from the very beginning of the human story, Samael's shadow stretches across history. He is not just the end of life. He is the reason life became fragile in the first place. Another layer of Samael's identity emerges in Jewish writings that depict him as the accuser in the heavenly court. In this role, he resembles the figure of Satan in the book of Job, standing before God, pointing out the sins of humanity and demanding justice. This is not the tempter of Eden, nor merely the angel of death, but the prosecutor of mankind. His task is to expose our flaws, to ensure that no sin goes unpunished. In this sense, Samael is not acting against heaven but for it, though his role makes him appear cruel and merciless. Imagine the scene. In the divine courtroom, humanity stands on trial. Michael may defend, Raphael may heal, but Samael accuses. He points to every failing, every betrayal, every hidden desire, and demands that God pass judgment. But here lies the controversy. If Samael is heaven's prosecutor, does he truly serve God, or does he exploit his role for his own satisfaction? Some texts describe him as eager to condemn, pressing harder than necessary, feeding off guilt and failure. He doesn't just enforce justice, he delights in it. The Zohar, a foundational work of Jewish mysticism, paints Samael as both necessary and dangerous. Without him, sin might go unchecked. But with him, mercy seems almost impossible. His accusations create a constant tension between divine justice and divine compassion. And so Samael embodies the harshest truth. Justice without mercy is indistinguishable from cruelty. He forces humanity to face its darkest reflection, stripping away excuses until nothing remains but guilt. This makes Samael both terrifying and strangely essential. Without the accuser, perhaps sin would be ignored. With him, every flaw is magnified. But it also raises a troubling thought. If Samael is always accusing, does he want humanity to repent and be restored? Or does he only long for our condemnation? In this ambiguity lies his most haunting quality. Whether angel or demon, Samael thrives in humanity's downfall. In Kabbalistic teachings, Samael takes on an even more complex identity. Here, he is not just an angel or demon, but a cosmic force tied to the very structure of creation. Kabbalah divides existence into two realms, the holy Sphirot, channels of divine light, and the Qliphoth, shells of impurity that distort that light. Samael is often linked to the Qliphoth, representing the side of severity, judgment, and destruction. He is paired with Lilith, the dark feminine, forming a union that embodies chaos and temptation. Together, Samael and Lilith are seen as king and queen of the demonic realm, birthing forces of impurity that seek to draw humanity away from God. Yet even here, Samael's role is not purely rebellious. He is part of the cosmic balance. Too much mercy leads to lawlessness, too much severity leads to despair. Samael embodies the latter, ensuring that judgment and restriction remain forces in the universe. Some mystics interpret this as symbolic. Samael is the manifestation of divine judgment unchecked by compassion. He is not evil for the sake of evil, but represents what happens when law and justice become absolute. His existence warns of the dangers of imbalance within creation itself. And yet, Kabbalistic texts also suggest that Samael craves power. His bond with Lilith is not just symbolic, but passionate, dangerous, even intoxicating. Together, they challenge the boundaries of divine order, creating a shadow kingdom that rivals heaven's light. Thus, in mysticism, Samael is both necessary and perilous. He is the shadow cast by divine brilliance, the reminder that creation has both light and darkness, structure and chaos. But for those who seek forbidden knowledge, Samael represents something more, a gatekeeper to hidden wisdom. To understand him is to confront the harshest truths of existence, that death, judgment, and temptation are not foreign invaders, but built into the very fabric of the cosmos. After everything we've explored, the question still burns. Is Samael truly an angel, or is he a demon? On one hand, he is described as serving God. He enforces divine judgment, executes death, and exposes sin. These are not the acts of a rebellious fallen angel, but of one fulfilling heaven's harshest decrees. In this light, Samael is not evil. He is simply the angel of severity, a being whose role makes him feared but not condemned. On the other hand, countless texts paint him as hostile to humanity, almost gleeful in destruction. His bond with Lilith, his role as the serpent in Eden, and his ties to the Cliffith all point to a darker nature. He doesn't just carry out justice, he seems to revel in it. He doesn't just test humanity, he tries to break us. Perhaps the most unsettling possibility is that both are true. Samael is angel and demon, light and darkness, servant and adversary. His ambiguity is the point. He reminds us that not all beings in the spiritual realm fit neatly into categories of good or evil. Some scholars suggest that Samael is less a person than a principle, the embodiment of divine severity, which, depending on how it manifests, can appear as holy or demonic. When severity is balanced with mercy, it is justice. When it stands alone, it becomes cruelty. Samael is both faces of that coin, and maybe that's why his name has endured. He is not simply another angel or another demon. He is the paradox of judgment itself, the shadow that follows every act of justice, the venom hidden in every act of temptation. So the question of Samael's nature may not have an answer at all. Instead, it may force us to confront a more unsettling truth, that within the divine itself exists both mercy and wrath, compassion and severity. Samael is the reminder that even heaven's light casts shadows. So who is Samael? An angel of death who obeys divine command, or a demon who delights in human downfall? The truth is, Samael resists every label. He is not like Michael, the protector, or Raphael, the healer. He is not like Lucifer, the rebellious star cast down from heaven. Instead, Samael exists in a far more dangerous place, between obedience and rebellion, between justice and cruelty, between heaven and hell. Perhaps that is why he has endured in myth and mysticism for centuries. He forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that not everything in the spiritual realm can be neatly divided into good and evil. Samael is a mirror, reflecting humanity's deepest fears, our fear of death, of judgment, of temptation, of facing justice without mercy. When the ancients called him the venom of God, they captured this paradox perfectly. Venom can kill, but in measured doses, it can also heal. Blindness can obscure, but it can also protect us from sights too terrible to endure. Samael is both the executioner and the guardian of cosmic balance. He is the shadow that ensures light has meaning, the death that makes life precious, the judgment that reminds us of the weight of our choices. But here is the lingering question. If Samael stood before you today, would you see an angel carrying out God's will, or a demon reveling in destruction? Perhaps that answer lies not in Samael himself, but in us. For Samael has always been less about who he is, and more about how humanity responds to temptation, death, and judgment. He is not only the angel who strikes us down, but the voice that whispers when we falter, the accuser who waits when we fall, and the shadow that follows every soul. And maybe that shadow was never meant to be defeated. Maybe it was always meant to walk beside us. So the question remains, when your final hour comes and Samael draws near, will you see him as an enemy or as the hand of the divine?